Hey guys, welcome back to Buzzer to Buzzer. The NBA season has resumed, and there have been multiple games going around. And we asked you guys a couple videos ago of what type of content you wanted to see with us during the bubble. And one of the main reactions was to see our reactions to the games and the stats and everything going around with the players. So, without any further ado, welcome to a new segmented episode called Reacting to the Bubble. All right, so the first game which we're going to be talking about is going to be the number one team in the West and the champions, as we all know, that being the Los Angeles Lakers. The season opener, guys, the second game was against the Los Angeles Clippers. And, guys, I'll put the slide up. The Lakers won by 2 points, 103-101, with an outstanding performance by Anthony Davis and LeBron James contributing on the side as well. And we did not see Kawhi Leonard potentially go off fully, but we did see Paul George and how good he can play. Now, I know that we've been waiting to discuss this, and let's get to it. What are our thoughts
Hold
on
on.
the Lakers game?
Hold on. You just called the Lakers the champions when most recently they just lost to the defending champions Toronto Raptors without Kawhi Leonard.
Hey, we'll get there. Let's talk about the Clippers and Lakers first.
Okay, I'm going to start off. First of all, don't disrespect Kawhi Leonard, right? He's the reigning finals MVP for a reason. Number two, the one thing that discourages me about this Lakers win is the fact that the Clippers didn't have Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell, and they only won by 2 points, where also in multiple instances, the Clippers had a double-digit lead. And so, if I was a Lakers fan, I wouldn't get too excited about this win just because the Clippers were not even close to full strength. They don't even have the chemistry right, and players are just getting back to normal. So those are just my 2 cents.
Okay, wait. So I got to address that point. So, it was the first game both teams are respectively played in over 4.5 months, right? So both teams have that sort of point, right? But also the Lakers lost out on key players, a key defender like Avery Bradley, who can turn it up on a night. He can drop a solid 15 points off the bench. And so that has to be they got Deion Waiters and J.R. Smith not coming on, who are new additions to the team, which is obviously going to take time. So I feel like it got balanced out because the Lakers had new additions, while the Clippers, they lost Lou Will because of his endeavors outside the bubble, and they didn't have Montrezl Harris. So I feel like it was a balanced out game on both sides because of that.
No, I understand that. I don't want to discredit the Lakers win. I'm just saying I don't want this to be used in the future because if you look at it, in the future, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell are going to be back.
Yeah.
And the Lakers have their full squad right now. They're not going to add any key additions in the future.
I think looking past that, too, we have to look at the impact Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell have on the Clippers. They're 38 of their 51 bench points, I think somebody said during the game. Mm-hmm. And going further past that, Kawhi Leonard's plus-minus was 16. LeBron's was -4. I think that speaks a lot to what happens when the Clippers and Lakers are both at full strength.
Yeah, I'm like Arian said, I'm not taking any credit away from the Lakers win, but if we're going to talk about key players on both teams, it's obvious that the Clippers didn't have 2 of their key players, Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. And I think that you can see LeBron's performance was just not that great. I think Anthony Davis just carried that team to the win. And I think that if both teams have a full healthy squad and play again, I think that the Clippers are going to.
Man, okay, so this is the thing, though. This is the regular season. You guys know, when the playoffs roll around, LeBron goes zero dark 23 mode, which although
he actually said he's not doing that this year.
He's not going it because of,
Where was LeBron in the playoffs last year?
LeBron
recall no zero dark 30 in the playoffs last year.
LeBron was injured for the first time in his 17-year career, all right, man? So I'm talking about this year. This is what matters.
You're going to talk about players who go off in the playoffs. How can you not mention Kawhi Leonard?
No, for sure. I'm not going to take
– It's literally his time to shine and his place to shine. And everyone in the league knows that Kawhi Leonard completely changes in the playoffs, as you can see last year, too, with the Raptors. And so how can you say that LeBron's a type of player who's going to have this huge change in playing style and overall performance when we have Kawhi Leonard in this league?
You can't take away from the fact that LeBron literally turns it up during the playoffs. He is a different breed during the playoffs. Sure, during the regular season, I'd say he is going about 60%, but in the playoffs, he's a different animal. Okay, if we're going to talk about the regular season, talking about this past game, overall, LeBron had a better game. I mean, Kawhi only had 28 points, like 4 rebounds, and like 3 assists. On the other hand, LeBron had a double-double, 16 points, 12 rebounds, and like 7 assists. So all around, I'm still seeing that LeBron's contributing more to the whole team, and eventually that's what's going to matter in the playoffs.
I mean, if we're talking about contributing to the team, Kawhi's plus minus was 16. LeBron's was -4. So who's really contributing more to their team?
Yeah, he's not contributing? He's in fact taking away from the team.
Well, that's because over the whole season, LeBron's contributed so much that even if he dips a little, we're seeing the negative increase. So,
all right. So it's funny that you mentioned LeBron's overall performance in that game right now, because his overall field goal percentage was 6 for 19, and his 3-point shooting was 2 for 7. And when he played 34 minutes and scored 16 points, I just don't see that as being a really efficient for a team. And I don't think that he really benefited the Lakers.
All right. Well, we've talked about this narrow win, obviously, which the Lakers had over the Clippers. For sure, it was a good return to see the NBA back and had us all on the tip of our seats. But let's talk about an unfortunate second game which they had against the Toronto Raptors on this past Saturday. That being that they got pretty much blown out by 15 points, 107-92 by the reigning champions. And I would say that the Toronto Raptors, for sure, this whole season have been slept upon. I mean, ever since, I think we can all agree that ever since Kawhi Leonard left, a lot of media coverage not only was, taken off from the team, but they were discounted because a lot of people attested to the fact that, LeBron said in his post-game interview that it wasn't just Kawhi who made the Raptors a winning team. And I think on Saturday, we saw that in full effect with Kyle Lowry leading the team. What do we think about that?
Yeah, I think it's largely attributed to the players stepping up. I think back when Kawhi was still making his free agency decision, Fred VanVleet was the one to say, either we win with him again or we'll have to beat him when we see him in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet has been one of the key players on this team, and obviously he showed in the last year's playoffs what a great player he was, and he's definitely stepped it up this season, helping the Raptors become such a great team.
I think the Raptors also here pointed out the Achilles heel of the Lakers in the fact that if LeBron and Anthony Davis don't produce at a high level, the Lakers are done. You see the physicality that Pascal Siakam brings in the post. He matched up Anthony Davis really well. And LeBron didn't particularly have a great game by his standards. And they need other players to step up. You look at Danny Green, had 0 points. Caldwell Pope had only 5 points. So this is I think, biggest problem that the Raptors exposed, that if you can limit Anthony Davis and LeBron James, the Lakers virtually have no shot.
Yeah, definitely. You're saying already with their stats, with their whole mediocre performance. LeBron, 20 points, 14 points. For like that, for how good of players they are, they just didn't perform well against the Raptors, and that's shown. Like that just shows in why they lost, and that's just like not a good performance. And if they want to win the conference and eventually win the title, they're gonna step up. Every player needs to step up on that team, and it just can't be Anthony Davis and LeBron James anymore.
Yeah, all right. So for sure, the Raptors have proven that they are in the conversation for making it to the finals. I mean, it's been this whole season through all social media platforms, all, ESPN, everything. It's been the Bucks are going out of the East. But for sure, this Saturday, the Raptors had a statement win saying that, hey, don't count us out. We're still here, representing Canada. And I feel like that they have a pretty good chance. And just like how we're expecting the Western Conference Finals against, we're hoping it's going to be Lakers and Clippers, going to be a good one. The Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks and the Raptors, I think that can be one great playoff series as well. So lots of changes to stay in tune for. And our last game, which we are going to be talking about today, is going to be an even closer game. This being one of the first OT games in the bubble. This being between the Houston Rockets and the Dallas Mavericks, with the final score being the Rockets 153 points and the Dallas Mavericks 149 points. Now, guys, not only was this a high-scoring game for both respective teams, but we saw James Harden do what he does best, that being score, score, and score. The man dropped 49 points in a statement win for sure, showing that he is ready to go and ready for the playoffs nevertheless, while Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, although young, they show that they are ready and that they can make an impact on this league as well. What are our thoughts on that game?
Well, first off, obviously it was absolutely crazy game with the lead changes and just like in general, just how high of scoring game it was is just crazy for the league in general. And yeah, I agree with what you said around when James Harden just absolutely killed that game, 49 points, and even Russell Westbrook. You can't discredit him either with his 31 points. That duo is just crazy, and I think that they just sent a message to the league. But I also want to give credit to the Mavericks too, keeping it super close. Obviously, Luka Doncic and Porzingis really performed well, and it was a nail biter for sure, and it could have gone both ways. So I think both teams played their hardest, and I guess the Rockets just came out on top.
Yeah, I want to add on to Russell Westbrook. Usually we've thought of the Rockets as Harden 1, Russ 2, but in recent games, it's looking like these both it's like a double-headed monster. Both are ones. Russell Westbrook had 31 points, 11 rebounds. Harden, as you said, 49 points. And we saw recently in the Bucks game, Russ took control when Harden was missing a lot of shots. And so the Rockets are proving they can win in multiple ways, whether it's shooting threes, playing defense, or the combination of both.
Yeah, for sure. I think this going into the season, a lot of people were worried how Russell Westbrook and James Harden would fit together and find a way to produce effectively. I think they finally done it, and I think these two games also come to show that James Harden is the best offensive player in this league.
For sure, that's debatable, but definitely he's top 3 for sure in this league right now, contributing offensively. But it also brings up Harsh, you said one of the best offensive players, but I saw a side of James Harden, which, is I was surprised of after this bubble, and something I think is not talked about. We've all seen the memes of James Harden not being a defensive player, but we all saw in that final 2 to 3 minutes how James Harden locked down Giannis Antetokounmpo when it really mattered. So do we think that it's time that, James Harden deserves that respect for being an all-around player?
I don't really think so, in my opinion. Obviously, players have their one game crazy performance, and they don't play the same every night. But I just think that there's a reason why there's so many memes about James Harden's defense, and obviously, like some are exaggerated. He's not horrible. He's not the worst in the league, but I just think that his offensive capabilities kind of outshine his defense, and I just don't think that like defense is a big part of his game. And yeah, I think just by locking up Giannis for one game doesn't really prove a lot.
I think why he's gotten better on defense so much is because the offense isn't so Harden centric anymore. Before everything used to run through Harden, he'd have to make all the playmaking, scoring. Nowadays, he's got Russ and multiple 3-point shooters around him. I think he's just got more energy really to play defense.
I also think quarantine really gave him a chance to become in much better physical shape. I mean, just looking at him, it seems like he's gotten stronger, maybe got taken some little weight off. Like, he definitely seems stronger. And he was putting in the work those 2 games. It felt like he was on the floor every 30 seconds. Like, that man was tired the whole game. Played 48 minutes, 43 minutes, I think, in the first game against the Mavericks.
Yeah, he played 43 minutes, yeah, partial, as you said. And one other point, which this, in general, we saw the first game of the whole bubble was the scrimmage. It was a scrimmage, yes, against the Lakers and the Mavericks. And we saw the Mavericks win in that game. Now, against this game between the Rockets and the Mavericks, sure, the Mavericks lost, but they put up one great fight. I think you guys would agree. What do we think that the Mavericks, they are for sure, that Luka Doncic and now fully healed Kristaps Porzingis, they're posing an offensive and defensive threat. Do we think that they can go far in the playoffs too?
I really don't think that they'll go too far just because they're seeding right now. They're 7th seed right now, which means they'll have to face the Clippers in the first round if things go according to the way they are now, and they're not going to win that series. The only way they're getting closer and deeper into the playoffs really is they have to move up at least 2 seeds, I think.
Yeah, they're definitely a great team, no doubt. But I think they just need to work on being more consistent. As you saw yesterday, they lost against the Suns, who are like one of the worst teams in the league. And I think that they just need to continue keep passing the ball. Ball movement has to be better. And I think that there's only so much that Luka Doncic and Porzingis can do. And I think that they need other players to step up in order to get far in the playoffs.
All right, guys. So we've obviously seen that these games have been high scoring and for sure really fun to watch. Harsh, you want to explain, current topic going around why we're potentially seeing this happen?
Yeah. So Terrence Ross recently came out and talked about how the depth perception inside the bubble has been so great. I think it's attributed to how much easier it is to shoot inside the bubble. I think because when you're playing in an NBA stadium, the seats are so far back. It's harder to judge where that rim is going to be. And in comparison to now, inside the bubble, the walls are a lot closer. There's not fans in the stadium. There's not much stadium seating. I think it's a lot easier for the players to estimate where the basketball is and allowing them to shoot at a greater accuracy.
Yeah, well, that really is interesting, and I can see how that can be a factor. And yeah, when you have what we just talked about, the Mavericks versus Rockets, that high scoring game that we rarely see in if like outside of the bubble, I just think that there could be factors like what Harsh stated in the depth perception, and I think that that's maybe a reason why those games are so high scoring.
Definitely, this could, it's a whole new environment and a lot more different variables at play. And if it's allowing for us to see some high quality basketball and having some great games, I'm all for it. So, all right, well, guys, we've for sure seen a lot of action at play and a lot of great NBA games to start the bubble off right. And there's a lot more action to transpire and a lot more great games to come before the playoffs start in a couple of weeks. As always, we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode and let us know if you like this format of us reacting to the latest games, and we'll be sure to continue it. We got a lot more bubble games to come and hopefully a lot more action-filled games to come as well. So as always, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.